Hi, I'm Jim Cramer, and I'm about to react to a video on Make It. I live here, and I left the US for India and built a $23 million burrito business. I gotta find out about this because I wanna do the same thing. Okay, let's get started.
Coming to India to do business is a big learning curve. First, India is a learning curve, then business in India is a further learning curve. For me, it was all about letting India be India. If you find monotony dull, if you find comfort boring, then India is a perfect place to be. Nothing is predictable, every day is different. I took it as par for the course that I would just have to adjust to this in order to be successful here.
All right, now I've just watched really what I think is a manifesto about a young man going to work in starting a business in India. Well, let me tell you, something surprises you every day in small business. And even though he's doing it in India, I think you got to recognize that you're going to be surprised every day. Something will happen. It is not going to be good, and you got to be ready.
My name is Bert Mueller. I'm 35 years old. I live in Bengaluru, India, and I moved here in December 2011. So when I looked at starting a Mexican-inspired restaurant in India, there was just Taco Bell. Even now, 13 years in the future, very few people have started Mexican restaurants. Today, with California Burrito, we have 103 stores. This journey from 1 to 103 stores has taken us almost 12 plus years. When we started our first store, in our first financial year, we did about $500,000.
Okay, here we go. He did about $500,000 in his first year. I did about $500,000 in my first year, and I said, you know what, we got to expand. But my wife, who was doing it, says, expand into what? This young gentleman's business scaled. He can put probably thousands of these things up. Mine didn't scale because it was based on hospitality, and it was based on food that didn't deliver well. And we finally opened a second restaurant, but by that point I lost it and wasn't able to do it, and we gave it to our manager.
Last year, we did $23 million. It's at about 85 rupees to the dollar. Starting out in India was very challenging, but I never doubted that I had made a right decision. And I think India has stretched me as a person, and it's really a wonderful place to be. I'm very happy living here.
Well, there you go. I think that what is central to this young man's vision was he never doubted himself. If you are a person that doubts yourself, I got bad news for you. You're going to fail. Most small businesses fail. Some people feel that the number's as high as 90%. My strength came from things that people would doubt. Because when I conquered them, I knew, like when I got an A instead of a B from the health inspector, you know what I felt like? It was an achievement. So instead of taking these doubts that people have, say it's a challenge, and then win. Beat the challenge. At no point did I ever say to my wife, what are we doing? I said, hey, we gotta win. We gotta win. This guy is winning. He's really smart. There we go. I'm continuing to watch. This guy, the 23 million, he knows what he's doing.
The apartment I stay in has 3 bedrooms. It's a duplex, and it costs me about $1,200 a month. And a lot of these furnitures also were my grandparents, so it's passed through the family and now really feels like my old house in the US here in India. This is where I take my coffee in the morning and look out over the small garden I have. I went to the College of William & Mary in Virginia. I had the opportunity to study abroad, and I saw most people were going to Spain or Italy, and I'm a bit of a contrarian, and I wanted to go somewhere that was radically different than the US.
Gotta tell you, I wish I had been in that abroad program. You know, everybody I know who did a abroad program, we didn't have them, did a abroad program, learned a great deal. I didn't go overseas until I was 29. And that was a shame. I wish I had not worked so hard that I got to go overseas. He had a chance to go overseas and take a look at a culture that he didn't know, and that's fabulous. I sure would have loved that. I think it really could have helped me.
8348.
So I decided that India was the place to be. As an individual, I've always been somebody who's extremely frugal. What do I spend? In terms of groceries, I spend anywhere between $150 to $200 a month.
It's more expensive in this country than India.
On eating out, it's probably another $200 a month, maybe $400 if it's a very active month. All the people in our program were living with families. One of my friends was of Mexican origin, and one day I came over to her house and I saw she'd made this food for the family she was living with, and they were loving the food. As soon as I saw that, I thought, that maybe this was something I could do. I could bring Mexican-inspired cuisine to India. When we were raising money for our first store, we estimated we needed about $100,000 to do it. We raised $250,000, so that was from friends, family. Two of my childhood friends decided to join, and we opened in October 2012, our first store. The store did extremely well.
Look how smart this guy is. He needed $100,000, so he raised $250,000. That's brilliant, okay? Why? Because that gives you confidence. I mean, a lot of people say, okay, if I had $100,000, I could do it, let me do it with $50,000. That's who loses. You have to have enough money to be able to live and survive and prosper. And if you can get more than that, how terrific. I think this, one of the reasons why this guy's incredibly successful was he knew that he needed a little more money than most people thought, and he raised it. That's a really great idea.
Past 13 years, we've worked hard to make the food taste like you would get it in California or taste like you get it in Mexico. If you use the tomatoes from India, they taste very different than the tomatoes you'd get in the US. And the onions taste very different, the beans taste different. So it takes a lot of time to develop the supply chain that leads to a food that, while is approachable for someone who's from India, is also differentiated from a flavor perspective.
Okay, authenticity. We're learning about authenticity. I think that a lot of businesses are based on artifice, okay? They pretend. He's remarkably successful.
So when we break down that $23 million revenue, our food costs are about 37% food and packing costs. Our labor costs would be about 12% and approximately 4% on marketing. Real estate would be about 9%. And then corporate overhead would be about 5%. And we have other operating expenses. So at the bottom line, you could say it's around 10%.
All right, open your business in India because it's 12% labor. My business is about 40% labor. So, I mean, India, obviously, it's done very different. Real estate, it's actually roughly about the same. But you have to understand that if you could, and he's got profit of 10%, that's not a big enough profit. Try to do like 15% if you can. But understand that labor is the edge that this gentleman had. And we cannot do that in this country, and we shouldn't, because it means that the workers aren't making enough money. And remember, we don't want the workers to make so little versus the bosses. I've never, ever done that model. The model has always been to give the people who work for you enough money. Now, that may be because I was steeped in, when I was at college, alternative views to capitalism, but believe me, people didn't leave my businesses. They didn't leave my businesses unless I told them to, because I always paid more than everybody else. It was the Costco model. It really works. So anyway, he's got the edge on me here.
Our plan is to reach 300 stores by 2030, at which point we would probably list the company and do an IPO in India. And we'll see what happens.
If you have a model that scales, in other words, that it can be really big, and I talk about this in How to Make Money in Any Market, we talk about scale, that the venture capitalists urged me to think big. I wanted to think small and profitable. They urged me to be thinking big and ultimately having a huge amount of sales. And they were right. I was wrong. This gentleman has got the same idea that I had. I think he's doing it right. Sometimes, I'm not like the younger people. Like my kids are saying, like, what are you doing, Dad? I mean, come on, just do it right. But there we go. I got it right. Let's finish up, okay?
For me, living in India feels like I'm a part of this incredible once-in-a-lifetime growth story. India is on a growth story that other countries have already gone through. And to be able to witness the transformation and change that people's lives are experiencing is really powerful. I think it's also just a wonderful place to be from a life experience perspective. And I couldn't be happier to be here.
Okay, so let's do the ultimate takeaway here. I would tell you that this young gentleman is doing many things well. The first thing I would say is he's obviously working incredibly hard. Second, he's learning the culture. And third, he realizes you got to be authentic. If you're not authentic, people spot it very quickly. If his burritos were Indian burritos, so to speak, I mean, I think it would fail. Be authentic, but also be yourself. I'd say he's lucky. I don't think he emphasized luck enough, because luck is often the secret sauce of what works. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked it. I would subscribe to CNBC Make It. A lot of my friends belong to Make It, and I gotta tell you, and I call it belong. Why? Because it feels like a club. And you need people who are working with you. You need people with like-minded. Now look, if you're gonna save, I suggest you do How to Make Money in Any Market. And this is about the $100 trillion that the baby boomers are giving to younger people. Neither seems to know what to do. You will if you read this book.